What does Europe have that North America does not? Wild hedgehogs. The best part about having insomnia in late summer is hanging out in the garden and suddenly hearing noises you'd expect from the depth of hell, before a cabbage-sized spiky guy scuttles out from the bushes on his hunt for slugs. The noises hedgehogs make are unreal. I once had a late night and took the dog out for a walk around 1 to 2 a.m. and this happened to us 5 times on the walk at completely different locations. Was terrifying each time because of how dark it was. No one to this day really believes I saw 5 hedgehogs on one walk, which is impressive in itself. I've always wondered why they called them hedgehogs. If I understand correctly, it's because they sound like a hog pushing through a hedge, even though it's not a hog and probably not even a hedge. I'd like to meet one of these critters in the wild someday. We don't have them here, US, but we do have a ton of wild turkeys nowadays, a lot of white-tailed deer, and some interesting birds. In the eastern USA, there are porcupines. I was volunteering in a forest conservation center, and I'd frequently walk in the woods at night. Imagine barely being able to see massive spiky balls on your route, just waiting for you to walk into them. I also stayed in a rustic shelter one night, and throughout the night, the fuckers or some other critters kept me awake by butting against the door and walls. I beg your pardon, what? I have a hedgehog. They make weird-ass noises. Sometimes terrifying. I love my auto-generated username even more now that I know this info. Seriously, cabbage-sized. I thought they topped out at large grapefruit. Don't large grapefruit top out at small cabbage size? It almost like we need some SI units that aren't based on fruits and vegetables. Haha, no, an average hedgehog can fit into a body of a cat, lying on the ground, you know, when they pick their legs under their belly. Some weird size references in this thread. Roughly the size of 3.6 boxes of 8-penny nails, minus a sausage. The no hedgehogs in North America. I never knew, I thought they were everywhere. Edit. Okay, I get it, you keep them as pets. That's obviously not what I meant. Please stop telling me. And opossums. Once I ran into an opossum on my enclosed porch. It played dead. I picked it up with a hockey stick and placed it in the yard. I get this is not that interesting of a story, but it's like a core memory of mine. My dog killed the same opossum like 3 times. Spoiler alert, he never killed it. I like your story, thank you for sharing. It's a happy end for all involved. BRB moving to Europe. Just a tip. Hedgehogs are one of the oldest species around and they survived so long by becoming resistant to all kinds of diseases which they will carry around anyway. So lots of bad bacteria paired with pointy bits is no good for touching. I'm too big of a coward and a low-key hypochondriac. I couldn't touch any wild animal. I'd love to see one just existing in person though. It's awesome to just watch them out and about. Back in the day of being a stoner, I was walking to a friend's house baked. He called me after 10 minutes of not showing up. I lived a minute walk away. I told him I had just stopped to watch a hedgehog. He joined me and we watched a hedgehog go about its evening for a solid 20 minutes. Good times. All my stoner friends love nature documentaries. You guys just lived one for 20 minutes. I'd have loved it too lol. They are cute and they live close to humans as well, so you just need to be a little lucky and come visit when it's a warmer season. They sleep through the winter. I've basically had several generations living in my garden for the last 20 years. The cats are always super chill with them. They go crazy over the moles though. Cats can't do anything with them except watch. I've watched plenty of kittens try to pet a hedgehog, learn their lesson and settle for just watching them eat their food from their plate. Those kept as pets bond with their humans. And when you take them to the vet for checkups and vaccinations, the entire veterinary staff will show up in your exam room. Nah, I saw a blue one in San Francisco. Pretty sure he was escaping from the city. 50 Hz electrical. 380V 3 phases in residential. I know you can have 3 phases there too, but like, I have it, in my apartment. Edit. You can have 1 phase 230V, 3 phase 380V, 400V, 3P plus neutral, and in Belgium you can also get 3 phases 230V, no neutral, in some old installations. 400 volts now buddy. That €1 I dropped that one time on vacation. Sorry mate, I was the one who found that and I already spent it. Wild hedgehogs and nightingales. Excuse me, the nightingales don't exist. Some say they are a part of the Thieves' Guild, but there is no way that group is real. They're as real as the Dark Brotherhood. Old York. Even Old New York was once New Amsterdam. Neanderthal fossils. That's no way to speak about the royal family. Edit. Damn, this kinda blew up lol. Which one? They're all the same family. So a linear family tree. More like a braid. Sorry, play. Unexploded ordnance from 2 world wars. I think America has at least 2 unexploded atomic bombs that the government couldn't find after they were lost in a plane crash. Edit. It's more than 2. There are over 15 lost nukes all over the world. This is super fucked up. And we don't know how many the Soviets lost. The Soviets didn't know how many they lost either. Sleep well tonight. What's worse is it's in a country that will retaliate if one of their lost nukes detonate. Well, that's just great. Disclaimer. I'm just some dude, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just watched a few YouTube videos about nukes. If it makes you feel better, atomic bombs need a primer to make it go boom. In order for the safe transportation of the atomic bombs, the primer is removed, kept separated, so although they were transported together, but still separated, it is unlikely they will ever detonate. Also, nuclear bombs require a lot of things to go right at millisecond precision to explode. Most of those lost nukes are probably not capable of exploding considering the condition they're probably in. For those wondering, unlike what some people might tell you, you can't just detonate a nuke with a stick of dynamite. All you'll get is radioactive shrapnel. Nukes take a lot of upkeep to keep them operational. The biggest risk is probably environmental contamination from radioactive material or theft of technology, which by now is probably easily available anyway. It's always in the last place you check. I would hope so. It seems silly to keep looking after you found them. I work in the commercial fishing industry in Northeast America, and we were shut down for a good 6 months because draggers kept picking up unexploded bombs from the world wars. That's funny. I worked in the commercial fishing industry in Northwest America, Alaska, and there are certain islands ports were not allowed to wander around off-road because of the unexploded ordnance from World War II. My great-uncle was stationed in the Aleutians during World War II. He was excited to go because he was told there was a woman behind every tree. Too bad there weren't any trees. Fun fact, a couple of days ago, in France, a 88-year-old man went to the emergency room because he got a grenade from WW1 stuck in his ass. Edit. Some people have pointed out that it was a shell. Not where I thought that story was going at all. Explosive ordnance hiding under rocks. Inside trees, buried just under the surface. Every few years you hear about someone in Europe finding a grenade or a bomb with sometimes disastrous, sometimes hilarious results. Edit. This comment seems to have been a little misleading. While news items related to UXO make it from Europe to the US every year or two, it is being found on an almost daily basis. Usually it is disposed of without incident. Second edit. Of course it happens in the US too. But for the most part it is near military bases or military training sites and poses a smaller danger to the public. In Europe it's everywhere, left over from 2 world wars and several smaller, more recent ones, plus nobody knows where most of it is. As several responses have stated, in Europe you can find UXO just digging in your backyard. In 99.9% of North America this is not the case. My favorite thing about that story was that the bomb experts had to check the shell was defused before the doctors could remove it. How many experts from different fields have you had looking up your ass in one day? Less than that guy the first bet. It's not every few years. On Belgium alone, the part if the army responsible for neutralizing explosives, DOVO, neutralizes about 250 tons of explosives each year. A lot of these munitions are from WOI and get found by farmers in West Flanders. But munitions from WO2 get found regularly as well. Quite recently one was found at the train station in Ghent. I've never seen World War I or World War II abbreviated as WOI and WO2 before. I'm guessing the W's stand for world, but what does the O stand for? W stands for world, O for Orlog, war. Orlog is still used in Swedish, but in the specific context of Orlogsfartyg or Orlogskepp, fartyg and skep both being words for boats. I didn't even knew oorlog was an old word for war, just thought it was a weird naval word. Well, oorlog is Dutch, and vaartuig is vaartuig in Dutch and schip is ship in Dutch. And we also call our navy ships oorlogsschip, so I guess we have that in common with Swedish still. Georgia. Oh wait, I remember when I was younger I was talking to someone on Omegle who said they were from Georgia. It was really confusing why they had such an American accent, not knowing Georgia is also a US state, haha. In 1996, the Georgian athletes were treated like kings by the locals in Atlanta. Welcome home y'all. Honestly, I could see that. That sounds like peak Southern humor. Yeah, it totally happened, but it was a joke the Atlanteans were in on. Atlians boobs in shampoo commercials. In England they have a dating show called Naked Attraction where they show full male and female nudity. And discuss the merits of a lady's labia, or the attractiveness of a gent's ball sack. Peak television right here. Whilst it's obviously a voyeuristic show meant to attract people by virtue of showing a load of naked people on the telly, on the other hand, it somehow manages to feel more genuine and less exploitative in tone than most reality TV, even the stuff we tend to see in the UK, let alone the US stuff. It's pretty inclusive of all kinds of people on the show, which is nice. They throw in some little educational segments about sexual subjects now and again, complete with informative little animations. It goes some way towards normalizing nakedness and making people feel comfortable with the human form, which can only be a good thing in a world where Hollywood can show graphic violence but hardly dares show a nipple. There's something nice about entertainment that's about titillation rather than conflict. Good points. Loved this show when it first aired for all the reasons you mentioned. I'm not sure whether it is just the way of things that reality shows pick ever more annoying, controversial contestants as time goes on, or I'm just getting old and cynical but I can't watch it anymore. Too cringy. It's definitely a conscious choice by the producers. More annoying, argumentative people cause more drama, which makes for more interesting viewing. I can't stand shit like Married at First Sight that clearly just sets some of the participants up to fail so we can laugh at their misery but still has a bunch of experts on pretending it's their fault for not getting along with people who are the exact opposite of what they were looking for. Walter White dissolving a human corpse in acid to keep the meth empire running is fine for primetime TV, but a nipple is not. Correct. They showed tits in Breaking Bad when that blonde climbed out the window during the ride along. Okay, but there were titties in the episode that he did that though. You know what, that sounds pretty wholesome. I can't imagine the confidence it takes to have your body discussed like this on television. A friend of mine did it to get out of her comfort zone. I say hi to the cashier when I go shopping if I want to leave my comfort cone. Edit. Zone, but I'm gonna leave the cone just because it's funny imagining having a comfort cone. The cone of comfort sounds much nicer than the cone of shame. TBF. Link for lazy. It's oh wow, I'm kinda speechless. LMAO. Had no idea YouTube allowed this sort of content. It's on British TV. On Channel 4. Oh my gosh. Thanks for linking. I don't even know what to say besides imagine getting kicked off the show first because someone thought your junk was the worst. Just watched it. Towards the end a guy got kicked off because his balls. They're a lot to handle. Few zoom in on his nuts, which do indeed to appear to be the size of a donkey. I'm absolutely loving the awkwardness and embarrassment in the replies for this. We used to watch this show like every night at university for a laugh. Bro, I thought this was a trailer or something, then they flashed a dozen sets of gonads and I fumbled my damn phone. Gives me some reassurance to know that the guy with the smallest dick didn't get eliminated first. OMG, that was a culture shock moment for me. I was in Ireland and was watching local TV and Weird Bodies starts and a woman gets a full-on vaginal exam. I was shocked to see that. I was then grossed out when some guy's crazy infected leg was shown later in the episode without censorship. First time I saw Naked Attraction was when we were on a trip to London staying in an Airbnb that had SKY TV. Was expecting stuff to be blurred, but nope, everything in HD for all to see. I could never be that comfortable with my body. Hey grandma, did you see me on the telly the other day? I seen it on YouTube, it's wild AF. Not a patch on the good old days of Eurotrash, the girly show, Naked Elvis and the Word. Took me a few years to realize Eurotrash was actually funny. Used to watch with the volume down as a teenager. Is it really still the case? IIRC, it was more the staple of 90s and early 2000s. This, as for Sweden at least. No nudity in ads nowadays whatsoever. Shampoo. How about margarine? Didn't click, but it's Lada, isn't it? I scrolled right past the cliché bathroom stalls and train systems, but now you have my attention. Just imagine how much shampoo they'd sell in America if commercials had boobs. Sounds like a better commercial for lotion. It puts the Nivea Nutricare lotion on its skin, or else it gets the generic brand again. I've never understood as an American how we are so against nudity but fine with violence. When The Witcher 3 was coming out, you'd see all these clickbait articles about the amount of sex and nudity. I was just like, you know, you can have a severed hag's head dangling from your saddle, right? No one cares about that. Yeah, it's shotgun to the face. Nice. A breast from the side. OMG, how could you? There was an episode of Hannibal that got in trouble. It was an image of 30 or so human corpses sewn together into the image of a flower. Anyways, they apparently forgot to censor one nipple because of the sheer amount of dead bodies, and that's what landed them in a bit of trouble, lol. Tons of really old buildings. Castles. Edit. Apparently I haven't traveled to the castles in Na. My bad. Thanks everyone though. You are giving me something to my mind off of the indoor water park that quickly developed in my house. Drop the name of where the castles are and I'll add it to my list. Gotta go shop vac some more water out of my house. Dragons. Dungeons. Edit. Y'all, it was a joke. I grew up in a place called Rochester, Kent. We have a Norman castle that I lived about a 10-minute walk from. It was so normal to me that I didn't even think about it. I came back to visit years after I'd moved away and was like, fucking hell, this is like 1,000 years old. I learned to ride my bike in the castle gardens and didn't register the castle. Know how you feel. I grew up in Cornwall where there's a lot of wild coast paths you can walk, and one section has some standing stones in a field, smaller but similar to Stonehenge. As an adult I'm like, wow, these were left by the Celts and are several thousand years old. As a kid I was like, whatevs made, it's just some fucking stones in it. I used to walk alongside the remnants of Hadrian's Wall on my way to school, never really sunk in until years later. It's all blocked off by protective fencing now. Germany has more castles than the USA has McDonald's. Wales has the most castles per square mile of any country. Gotta stop them from revolting. I'm from a small village in South Scotland. There's roughly 8 castles within a 10-minute drive from me. They are everywhere. Ate dinner at a Crossroads pub near Winchester, England. I'm from Virginia, ancient, for the New World, that had been in operation since 15 years before Columbus sailed. And then there's the Roman baths in Bath. The age of these floored me. Also 20 minutes outside even the biggest city over there in SW England was rural land and not sprawling suburbs like in the US. I have to say, with all due respect to European archaeology, it never ceases to amaze me that the oldest Roman building was still built closer to our time than to the pyramids. Also, Cleopatra lived closer to the moon landing than she did to the building of the Great Pyramid, and woolly mammoths were still walking the earth when the Egyptians built the pyramids. TBF. The pyramids are from the first few centuries of Egyptian history as a unified kingdom and were old even to people like Ramesses or Tutankhamun. Egyptians in 1200 BC were doing archaeology, discovering their ancient history. Look up Prince Kemwesit.